The story, guys, is Heritage here. Just want to do a short video about something squirrely that seems to be going on with Tenet's box office takings. It's reported that it made 20 million over the weekend that it was released. That's in the US. Internationally, it did much better. I think about 130 something. So altogether, if you look at the box office Mojo page, which I've actually screenshot to put up on this video, you'll see that it made about 152 million so far. But towards starting to leak out now that something really weird is going on, because for some reason Warner Brothers isn't willing to release the daily figures for the box office for this film. As you can see in the other screenshot that I'm going to put up, the only one that's showing for number one in the rankings is The New Mutants. And you can see from the other screenshot that I'm going to put up that the next film before that I think was Unhinged, and before that I think was SpongeBob or something like that. So Tenet's daily scores aren't showing up in the rankings of the box office Mojo. And from what I've been hearing, the reason why this is happening is because that they didn't actually make 20 million the opening weekend. They made 20 million over 4 days. The opening weekend only made 10 million domestically in the US. Now, to put that into context, The New Mutants only made 7 and was declared a massive flop. So I think something shady's going on here to try and cover up the fact that the big tentpole movie that everybody was expecting to save the cinema hasn't actually done the deed. And indeed, the fallout for this seems to be that films like Wonder Woman are going to be pushed back because they were going to base their performance on how Tenet did. Now, personally speaking, I don't think that's fair because Tenet is more of an art house film. Like I said, I gave a review saying it was just okay. It's not bad, and it's not great. Definitely something I wouldn't go see again. Definitely something I wouldn't advise anyone to go to pay full back for. If you're a Christopher Nolan fan, you'll enjoy it. But I think the normies just got from word of mouth that it's not as good as Inception or Interstellar or The Prestige, so they just didn't bother going. So I don't think it's fair to try and compare a film like that to Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be more of your Marvel superhero type film. It's going to be attracting the more casual crowd, not the type of people who, would bet for a Christopher Nolan film. So it's kind of sad that films like that have been pushed back now because of the perceived failure of Tenet to basically relight the theatres. Speaking for myself, I've never seen anything like this. Usually, no matter what happens, you always get the figures for the sales, for the tickets, for the performance of a show. So it's just really strange to see, as far as box office Mojo is concerned, the only film to come out has been New Mutants. The one that the critics reviled and said was the worst X-Men film ever, which it's not. Like I said in my review of it, it's actually a really good, cracking little film. Is it going to set the world on fire? No, but I mean, it's not Dark Phoenix, it's not X3, it's not Wolverine Origins. It's a really good entrance into the franchise, and I think for an hour and a half, you'll have a blast. Right now, New Mutants is actually ahead of Tenet in terms of domestic performance in the US. Now, obviously, that's not the case. It's just because Warner Brothers isn't releasing the figures, so you're not going to get the consolidated tally. But it is funny to think that the one that the critics trashed, apparently on the stats we have so far, has been doing fantastic, and the one that they lauded had been an absolute bomb. I just find the whole thing hilarious. So I just put those figures up there, as I said, you can see in the screen if you look at it. Usually I don't do content where you have to actually look at the screen. I prefer you to hear what I'm saying. But yeah, something squirrely's definitely going on here. I don't know whether it's just that they're really, really bad figures and that they just don't want to touch it, because they're not even saying how many screens it's released on in the United States. As you can see from the screenshot that I put up, New Mutants went to 2,412 screens or something. Doesn't tell you what Tenet did. And I can't imagine it's less than that. So its performance seems to have hit a real kind of a sore spot for Warner Brothers, who seem to be, like I said, acting in a way I've never seen before. So just a little short video here. I didn't want to take too much time, but it's just something really unusual that I've never seen. It's kind of weird when you look what's been going on recently in terms of what happened with Rotten Tomatoes and how they got co-opted by a couple of Marvel, all the reviews that were coming in that. It's like just bizarre to see all these things that we used to look at to get an indication what was going on, and they just can't seem to be reliable anymore. So there you go, guys. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Let us know what you think about why they're keeping the figures back from this. The only thing that makes sense to me is that it's an absolute disaster, that it's not doing as well at all, that nobody's turning up for it. So nothing else makes sense. If it was doing gangbusters, they'd be screaming about it from the rafters. But as I put up there, while on the surface the figures look fantastic for Tenet, they just don't seem to have the dailies to back it up. And like in terms of domestic performance in the United States, it doesn't look to be doing well at all. So there you go. Let us know what you think about it, and tell you next time.